but he doesn't go after him right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient.
Right.
Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he's like at a world champions that are competing today at the highest level. He probably has the lowest punch count in the early rounds.
Yeah.
Because he just wait, but he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that.
Body. Touch his body. Hard to the body. Hard to the body.
Gervonta will beat him, honestly. I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit. And, you know, I think he'll land.
Joe Rogan was left completely speechless after hearing that Gervonta Tank Davis reportedly knocked out a heavyweight during sparring. Rogan couldn't stop praising Tank's explosive power, the way he lands punches without hesitation, leaving opponents dazed in seconds. He said Davis brings a wild, dangerous energy to every fight because one shot can end everything. That unpredictability, Rogan added, is what makes Tank both thrilling and terrifying for anyone brave enough to face him.
Like, you don't know whether someone's ever going to be able to figure that out or whether or not he's just going to keep cracking people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's part of the fun of watching it. I've talked to a lot of like real boxing purists. It's like, you can't rely on that style.
Right.
He's got to be busier. When he gets to the best guys, it's not going to work out. Like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see because there's...
Inside the gym, the stories only get crazier. Witnesses say this version of Gervonta Davis looks even scarier than what fans see on fight night. Heavyweights step in thinking their size will help, until Tank's lightning speed and compact power overwhelm them. Those who've seen it firsthand say the bigger fighters can't handle the sudden explosive force that comes from Tank's small frame.
Body. Touch his body. Still hard to the body. Hard to the body.
Thirty seconds.
One of Jake Paul's former sparring partners just made a bold prediction, saying Jake's never felt power like Gervonta's. He admitted Jake's knockouts of older fighters built confidence, but warned that won't save him against Tank. When Davis lands, he doesn't just touch, he breaks. The former partner believes Jake will realize fast that he stepped into a different league entirely. He respects Jake's risk-taking, but insists that Tank Davis is the exact point where risk turns into danger.
Man, like every single time, you know, people said that Jake would get finished or he would lose a fight. He obviously proved everybody wrong, but I genuinely believe this time, I think that, you know, with Gervonta's boxing IQ and him having Jake come down a little bit in weight, I think Gervonta will beat him, honestly. I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit. And, you know, I think he'll land. You know, Gervonta knows how to touch his opponents. But it's interesting because when Floyd fought Logan, the size really made a big, you know, impact. And you saw Floyd struggle, you know, against a big, you know, Ohio corn-fed, you know, wrestling strong dude. And, you know, I've sparred Jake and Logan before, and, you know, they train hard.
You're picking Tank by knockout?
Look, I sparred them years ago. They're much better than when I sparred them. They're athletes. You know, they train really hard. I think they work harder than...
Rogan also gave Jake some credit for bringing younger fans into boxing, adding hype that traditional promoters couldn't. But he questioned whether Jake's ready for a real fighter still in his prime. Jake's biggest wins came against guys who were retired or past their best, while Tank is elite, fast, precise, and proven. Rogan said business success can't protect Jake in a ring where no one else can take the punches for him. This time, Jake faces someone young, hungry, and brutally sharp.
After 10 fights, like, what if Jake Paul knocks one of them out? Like, what if you get a guy that, like, hasn't been tested and maybe has some promise and maybe gets wrapped up in the hype and maybe gets a little nervous and this is his first chance at a big show, and Jake Paul can crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as fuck. He can crack.
But Eddie's point in that interview, and I think the point that just about every boxing aficionado would say, is that Tyrone?
Showbiz the Adult broke down the mental side for Tank. Even if it's labeled as an exhibition, the embarrassment factor is massive. Tank's built his entire career on dominance and professionalism. Losing to a YouTuber would be headline chaos. Critics already twisted his draw with Lamont Roach, so now he's training like everything's at stake. This isn't just about fighting Jake Paul, it's about protecting his legacy. Tank's treating this camp like a world title defense, refusing to take Jake lightly.
Consequences. Let him get knocked out by Jake. Let him get embarrassed by Jake. He can't come back. He'll be made a mockery of. He done took a knee, grease in the eye, had a draw with Roach, which everybody thinks Roach was robbed, and then made a mockery of by Jake Paul, a YouTuber. Which is why Gervonta Tank Davis is on demon time. See, me being back on my fitness journey, I know how hard that is, especially at his size with how heavy that medicine ball is. Gervonta Tank Davis is going to go hard, pause, on that Jake Paul fight. He has to. While everybody is trying to dismiss that shit, there's a knockout bonus and everything. You got Lamont Roach calling him all these names. Tank Davis shut off his social media. He can't take y'all negativity, making him worse before the fight. He can't allow y'all to be in his head, which that's what y'all want to do. The end of Tank. And I don't. I think boxing is better with Tank involved. I always say that. If there is boxing, boxing is even better when there's more talented and skillful.
Bruce Carrington added that fights like Davis versus Paul are actually giving boxing a boost. He said these crossover events pull in casual fans, young audiences, and social media buzz that traditional fights sometimes lack. Boxing needs excitement and moments that trend, not just belts and rankings. Whether people love or hate these matchups, they keep boxing in the headlines, and that attention spills over into other fights across the sport.
And like, granted, it's entertainment, right? But this what this is, it's sports entertainment. This is what's gonna put butts in the seat, believe it or not. This is what's gonna, bring a lot of money to the sport. Especially, we have people trying to say boxing is dead, boxing is dying. But, we have a whole demographic of people that don't even watch boxing, interested in boxing. So I like to look at it that way. Like we're making these fantasy dream matchups come to life with Floyd and Tyson, And to be honest, I'm a little biased because Floyd, he is my favorite fighter of all time. And Tyson, he is a guy that basically made me fall in love with boxing. And he's the icon, the myth, the legend for me. So it was them two fighting. It's yo, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So and then on top of that, it's an exhibition, bro. It's not something to be taken serious. It's something that is for the people to just enjoy and watch. It's an exhibition. It's not like they're making it a sanctioned fight. Now, Jake and Tank, are they making that a sanctioned fight? I think they are.
They're trying to. It's a lot of moving parts right now with that.
Yeah, so I think that's that's where certain things become an issue because now you're putting it into a serious space. You know what I'm saying? Which it shouldn't be. It's honestly, if it's sanctioned, how the heck they gonna I don't know, bro. I don't know how the heck they gonna really pull that off, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's kind of certain things you got to question, but at the end of the day, it is putting more eyes on the game. It's keeping the sport alive, and I feel like Jake, his vision, his views, it's kind of bringing eye openings. It's kind of opening people's eyes. It's funny because
Still, questions linger about Gervonta's mindset. Legal drama, criticism, and constant pressure have tested his focus. He's talked about wanting legacy fights like Vasyl Lomachenko, battles that define greatness. During the Roach fight, he admitted he wasn't fully locked in. Analysts say those distractions could hurt him, or they could light a fire. Tank's determined to remind the world that no matter the noise, he's still one of the most dangerous fighters alive.
It's all about whether he channels that pressure or lets it wear him down.
Gervonta Davis-Lamont Roach fight. Gervonta was not actually even interested in fighting Lamont Roach. He was trying to fight Vasily Lomachenko. And Vasily Lomachenko was the guy that was going to really kind of propel him. It was the big fight that he wanted to get. But unfortunately for him, Vasily Lomachenko decided to retire instead of fighting him. So all of the time that it went into negotiating that fight with Vasily Lomachenko, where he really thought that he was going to get, that marquee fight with a fighter, in that division, it goes away, right? So what does he do? He then has to try to make a fight with somebody else. And that somebody else was Lamont Roach, somebody that he knew, somebody that was from the same area that he is, and somebody pretty much he was doing that the PBC was doing a solid for, and saying, okay, man, we really don't have an opponent, but this guy has a 130-pound title. He just beat Hector Garcia, the same guy that we beat. So boom, let's make the fight. However, that fight was originally supposed to be in Houston, and it had all kind of problems with the venue, moving the venue from here to there. It was supposed to be on one date, then it gets moved to the next date, right? And so basically it gets delayed and delayed and delayed. He also has issues with a judge over a hit and run case, and he's not allowed to leave Florida. She cites him and drags him into court because he went to DC, or he went somewhere without permission. So now he has another threat over his head about going to jail. Just a lot of stuff on the top of that young man's head in the lead into that.
Then came the Shakur Stevenson controversy. Footage showed Shakur mocking Gervonta's skills, yet quickly agreeing to spar Jake Paul for money. Analysts called it hypocritical, criticizing Tank while cashing in on his spotlight. Stevenson once dismissed the whole matchup, but now he's part of the hype train. Fans are questioning if this move was about principle or profit, saying it exposes how fast loyalty can shift when money's involved.
An undercard fighter, and then now, worse than an undercard fighter, you're being brought in for sparring, and you're like, ooh, I get to pick Jake Paul's brain, and you like happy about being a sparring partner. For me, that wouldn't be kosher. If I was Shakur and I am who I say I am, I would be trying to build my brand as big as possible, right? Like, if you want to be a big actor, you're going to get to a point where you got to start starring in the movies. You can't just keep doing cameos and showing up for 5 seconds in a movie. You'll never get to Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Will Smith, Denzel Washington. You'll never, if you're not a leading man, you'll never get to where they've been, Leonardo DiCaprio. They don't trust you with the whole movie, right? So for me, if my goal as an actor was to be a leading man and to be the top build, you got to start working towards that. And if you keep doing favors and other people's projects where you do these little bit roles and extra, you're an extra in somebody else's movie, I feel like that's a conflict of interest, because it's not really going to get you towards your end goal. So that's what I'm looking at Shakur. The branding stinks. You're literally Jake Paul's sparring partner right now, just because you don't like Tank. So, like I said in the last video, the branding sucks.
Not Tank. It's gonna actually bump up Tank. Yeah, these actions. Hey, people gonna be supporting Tank on these type of actions. You guys gotta look at the big picture, man. Years ago, man, I had a chance to spar. You know what I'm saying, Ricky.
Boxing media is buzzing about the odd Jake-Shakur partnership. Many point out how Shakur repeatedly trashed Jake's career, yet now he's helping him train. It's giving shades of when Jaron Ennis helped Canelo prepare for Terrence Crawford, another business over pride moment. Analysts say Jake knows exactly what he's doing by attaching a legit world-class boxer to his camp. Shakur gauged exposure and a payday, but fans are left wondering, is it strategy or selling out?
Stevenson reached out to Jake Paul in support of him preparing for Gervonta Davis. Help me understand, what is the difference between Boots Ennis reaching out to Canelo Alvarez in support of his preparation for Terrence Crawford versus Shakur Stevenson reaching out to Jake Paul in preparation for his fight with Gervonta Davis? Tell me what is the difference. I'll tell you what the difference is. The Ennis family actually had a relationship with Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout? I don't want to hear anything about this fight. Nah, it's against a YouTuber, it doesn't matter. No, Shakur Stevenson is an elite level fighter that is going to be a sparring partner to a YouTuber, and he reached out to him directly?
Paulie Malignaggi shed light on the fight's big stage, Florida. He said it's perfect for hype, celebs, and huge crowds. If Tank pulls off a knockout there, his fame could skyrocket beyond boxing's hardcore fanbase. This isn't just a fight, it's a business leap. A spectacular win in front of that audience could make Tank a mainstream superstar, unlocking new deals and global attention.
Myself, but there's obviously a reason why the networks wanted to make Gervonta Davis a star.
But let's look at it. And Robert, I want to ask you this. When you look at the numbers for Canelo, his fight against Crawford, 41 million viewers. That's what they got. It was the most viewed championship fight of this century. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson got 108 million. It got more than double, significantly more than double. Is it the idea of the streaming services, Netflix, where they're following the numbers, Robert, and that's where the numbers are?
It's what we're coming to, the real fights, fights where they deserve to be seen throughout the world are, it's great. They have good numbers, but when you see guys, that are YouTubers, guys that are 60-year-old retired and coming back, and getting 2 times more than what a real fight, it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of embarrassing, kind of sad that we're getting there, that we're in that situation. But I also can't blame them. They're all making a lot of money. That's why Tank is doing it. I think it's ridiculous. It's a joke. But I can't go against that either. He's making a lot of money. Jake Paul is doing his thing. Jake Paul is he makes these fights happen and gets the views. So people are tuning in. That's the problem, that people are tuning in.
Andy Ross took a bold stance by leaning toward.
Meanwhile, analyst Andy Ross made waves by picking Jake Paul to win. He cited Jake's size, reach, and awkward style as factors that could throw Tank off. Jake doesn't move like a traditional boxer, which might give him moments to surprise Davis. Ross admitted Tank's skill is unmatched, but warned that confidence plus size can be dangerous. One clean shot can change everything, and ignoring Jake's power could be a costly mistake.
Your thoughts on this?
I have locks with Snaggy right there. I think Jake Paul wins that fight. Look, obviously Gervonta Davis has way more experience. He's a hell of a fighter. He's done so much more for boxing and than a lot of people. But to say that, that's not, everyone's going to want to watch that fight. I think it's a genius idea. I think Jake Paul sets the craziest expectations, and I think he sets the bar so high now in the boxing world. Jake Paul revived boxing. People could say what they want to say about it, but Jake Paul really revived the sport of boxing.
That wraps up today's video. Drop your thoughts below. Is Jake Paul biting off more than he can chew? Or will Gervonta Davis prove why he's one of boxing's most feared punchers? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fight updates.